Yo, what's good? Freedom March and Freedom Family. Yo, what's good? What's good, everybody? Snaps is looking really here. Uh, welcome to Freedom's March. Welcome to Freedom's March, where every day I try to take one step closer to freedom. And while I do that, I try and convey a message of freedom to you guys to help encourage everyone to join the march as well, right? We need as many people as we can to join the march. Join the march. Join the march. And one way you do that is by not voting. You understand? I'm not telling you guys not to vote. I'm just giving you, in my opinion, when you vote, you give your consent to be governed. All you have to do is remove that. Once you remove that, and once you come to the understanding that it doesn't matter if you vote, right? The outcome is going to be the outcome, and the outcome is the outcome they want. That mic was good. Canelo or Berlanga? Canelo, man. Come on. So anyway, you know, that is why I was talking about what I talked about this morning, right? About people telling you, you know, they're voting for the lesser of two evils and telling people to vote for the lesser of two evils, or you might get the evil you don't want. Even though if you vote for the lesser of two evils, you're not guaranteed to get the outcome that you want, right? That's what I talked about this morning. But now, what I want to talk about is what I feel is an okie doke that they're trying to hit us with. I think they're trying to hit us with an okie doke, right? Hit us with an okie doke. For what reason? Well, to put faith in the idea, our faith in this idea that, you know, the government is here for us, that we need it, you know, that they're doing everything they can for the security and safety of the American people. That's what I think they're trying to do with this one. They're trying to pull a fast one on us. They're trying to pull a fast one on us, right? Because they have already opened the floodgates and allowed millions of people to come into this country that we have no idea about, right? And guess what? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. What's done is done. It is what it is. It's going to keep going from here. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, but at some point, somebody's going to have to do something to mitigate the risk that we now face due to all this immigration that we keep hearing about and that we know is going on, right? We know it's happening. We know this is not something that can be denied. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this story, but apparently there was some guy, a Pakistani national, who was living in Canada, apparently plotted to commit a terrorist attack in New York, right? The guy's plan, his name was Muhammad something. The guy's plan was to, you know, take some firearms and ammunition, go down into New York and perform a mass shing, all right? And apparently when he got to the border, the Canadian-U.S. border, they flagged him, right? He was flagged. So they searched him, stopped him, and discovered this plot. So basically, he never made it into the United States to do the thing that he wanted to do, right? Which was, you know, create a mass shooting, right? Go around shooting a bunch of people. That was his. They might say, of course, it was a Muhammad. That was his plan, so they say. was to go into New York and shoot up a bunch of people. That was what they said he wanted to do. All right. Now the Canadian security people, they stopped him, and so now we're supposed to believe that, listen, this is what the belief is supposed to be, that if something is going to go wrong, if somebody's planning to do something bad in the United States, particularly a foreign national, we're going to stop them. We're not going to allow them to carry out their plans. Well, I'd feel better about that if we didn't already have millions of people in this country that can carry out those same types of attacks. As a matter of fact, we do basically have foreign nationals from particular countries terrorizing, killing, taking over apartment buildings, taking over, just running around doing what they want, right? And that's already happening, right? That's something that's already happening. These people are taking over wherever they're at in these sanctuary cities, these sanctuary states. And it really is the government bureaucrats allowing this to happen, right? This is being allowed to happen. And when you question the leaders of these cities and states, they'll tell you, oh no, well, there's no official report of this happening, right? They'll tell you, well, that's not what's going on. This shit ain't happening, but we know it is. They'll downplay it. They'll downplay it, and these things will continue to happen, right? Because if they're going to downplay it, that means that if they're downplaying what's going on, that means they don't plan to do anything about it. What's up, Sunshine? How you doing? If they're telling you, oh, no, this ain't happening, they're not planning on doing anything about it. Why? Because they want it to happen. And why do they want it to happen? Because it has to be a big enough event to happen for them to swoop in and save the day and use it to, I don't know, invade Venezuela? Maybe. Right? Because I want y'all to think about that. They send a bunch of people from Venezuela to the United States. And Venezuela was one of the countries where he was allowing refugees to come from, right? Cuba, I think it was Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela. Those are three of the countries, right? And what did they do? The Venezuelan government emptied their prisons, basically, and sent all their bad guys up here, right? Sent all these bad motherfuckers up here and lowered their crime rate. So we already have people in this country that can carry out terrorist acts. But I'm not even talking about the Venezuelans right now. I'm just mentioning that I'm just showing you guys that our government wants you to believe that they're doing something about people trying to come in from Canada to stop a terrorist attack, but they're not doing anything about what's going on in Aurora, Colorado, in Springfield, Ohio, and other parts of the country. They're not doing anything about that. But they want you to think they're doing something about something. But my biggest concern is not even the Venezuelans necessarily. Not the Venezuelan gangs, right? They have their agenda. They have their thing. They want to do what they want. They want to run around intimidating people to get what they want. That's what they want to do. They're going to kill. They're going to kill people. They are going to, traffic people, right? They're going to do those types of things. But the biggest concern should be the people that the media is not covering, right? The people that the media is not covering. Because there's a lot of coverage about Haitian people in Ohio, the Venezuelan gangs, right? There's a lot of exposure on those individuals. But the people they're not going to expose are those that are actually plotting and planning for an event on the level of 9/11, on the level of Pearl Harbor, and those such events. Now, is this something that I want to happen? No, not at all. I don't want this to happen. But if we have all these people in this country that we have no idea of, and we've had the largest influx of immigrants in history, and there's no way we can keep up with these people, right? There's no way. There is no way. We already know that the Chinese are, paying a lot of money to the coyotes to help them come into the country. We already know that. We know that's happening. And so, listen, man. Listen. Listen. This is the thing, man. I had to be very, very careful about how I word this shit. Very careful. Something might happen, right? Something might happen. And I believe it is going to happen. Not because I want it to, but because it's just, there's way too many of the ingredients for it not to happen, right? Way too many of the ingredients, because a lot of the people that come over here, they don't really like us, right? They don't like our country and what we represent, right? They feel like we represent imperialism. We represent, assholes that go around spreading our democracy, and creating problems from where they're from, driving them into even worse poverty if they were already in poverty, disparaging their customs and religions and all that stuff, just outright disrespecting other nations, right? That's what they feel like. They feel like we are a poor representation of morals in the United States. They think that they believe that we are going around, that we're the terrorists. That's what they think. That we are the invaders, we're the terrorists, and we're the ones going around creating problems for all these other countries. That's what they believe. That's what they believe, right? And so a lot of them are already here. A lot of them are here. And if there, let's say reportedly there's like 11 to 15 million. But some people think it's more like 20 to 25 million. When you think about the law of averages and the law of probability, I mean, what are the odds that somebody isn't trying to do something? So, I mean, listen. Yes, they said they stopped a terrorist attack in the United States, but that's just the one they caught. That's just the one they caught. That's even if he's actually what they say he is, right? I mean, if you think about what, and it wasn't even us, it wasn't even our government that stopped it, right? It was the Canadian government. And now they're going to be discussing where the trial is going to be had at, where they're going to, if they're going to bring him into the country, or do it in Canada. Canada will probably want him over here. But listen, and what's funny is that they said that this guy was going to do it in support of ISIS, right? When ISIS, the funny thing about ISIS is ISIS is not really that active right now, right? When was the last time you heard about ISIS going in on something? Like, when was the last time you heard about ISIS doing some shit, right? When was the last time you heard about that? Joe Biden allowed this? Yeah, well, they allowed it during Joe Biden's administration, right? Just thinking outside of the left-right paradigm box, yes, they allowed it to happen because that's what they wanted to happen. And and Joe Biden being president, it helped their narrative, right? It helped the narrative. Now we have these people in here. Trump might end up being president, and like I said, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's going to have to be something. He's going to have to be aggressive. So let's say Donald Trump becomes president and he wants to deport a bunch of people. He's going to have to do it very aggressively. Very aggressively. He's going to have to fight with these states and these sanctuary cities that are allowing the people that came over here to stay and utilize our resources. I mean, he's going to have to get real aggressive. He's going to have to, declare the Insurrection Act or whatever. I forgot. He's going to have to do something aggressive. He's going to have to do something that people are going to look at him like, oh, well, yeah, is that what you're going to do? It's like what happened with 9/11, right? What happened with 9/11? What did that bring about? That brought about the Patriot Act. They had to do something. Yes. So 9/11 happened, right? And the government had to do something against its own people to come up with the fear-based, with the solution, right? The pre-planned solution. That was the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act stripped us of many rights, right? It stripped us of many rights. But it wasn't just 9/11 and the Patriot Act. What also happened? Shortly after 9/11, there was that anthrax thing, right? Remember that? Somebody was sending anthrax to people, killed a few of them. What did they come up with after that? They came up with the Model State Health Emergency Powers Act. So the person that got the anthrax in the envelope spread anthrax to multiple people. And they said, well, we have to prevent a pandemic or an epidemic from occurring if this ever happens again. And so they came up with the Model State Health Emergency Powers Act. The Model State Health Emergency Powers Act gives the state the power to do what they did during the Modelo 19 pandemic, right? The Model State Health Emergency Powers Act gave them the ability to do lockdowns, to do this, to do that, and the states took that and they did lockdowns. They forced face flag people. They said, oh, you can't leave the house without a face flag. Oh, you can't go see your grandma. You can't go to social gatherings. You can't be within 6 feet of each other. If you wore a face flag outside the house or didn't wear your face flag, you would get fined. Right? You would get fined. Well, that was due to the Model State Health Emergency Powers Act being in place. That passed into law. And so now they have the ability, if they declare a medical emergency, they have the ability to quarantine you by force, right? They had the ability in their minds, to quarantine you and all that type of shit. So they continually do things like that to gain more power over you, right? So they still feel as though we have too many rights. We still have too many rights in their minds. We still have too many rights. And they're tired of us exercising what little rights we are allowed to exercise. So I think that, and this is the ultimate conspiracy theory, right? And I already know that that's what people's going. A lot of people want to think conspiracy theorists when I say this, but they are going to orchestrate or co-opt an event, right? And it's going to be, it could be pretty damn bad, right? It could be a high casualty event. And when this high casualty event occurs, the people are going to be begging for the government to step in. They're going to be begging. Understand, I want y'all to understand what they took away with these things they did with 9/11 and the anthrax scare. With 9/11, they basically tore down the First Amendment, right? They tore down the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment. The First Amendment is about free speech, right? It's about that. It's also about the Fourth Amendment in regards to privacy, being secure. Yeah, being secure in your personal papers, houses, and effects. Well, when they restricted the First Amendment with this Patriot Act, right? So once you say something, or once they hear something that they feel is terroristic in nature, it then triggers them. It triggers the ability for them to violate your privacy. So now they can tap your phones, they can do this, they can do that. They don't need very much evidence at all, right? And what that then does is removes your right to due process. So the First Amendment wiped out, Fourth Amendment wiped out, and then I believe I forgot which one the due process one was. But that one. The right to due process, right? Because what are they doing? What do they do? If they feel like somebody is a potential terrorist, or might belong to a terrorist organization, or you're sending money to a terrorist organization, or anything of that nature, they can snatch your ass up and take you to Guantanamo Bay under the suspicion of being a terrorist, and you will never have a day in court. They were able to do that. Why? Because of the Patriot Act. It gives them the false sense of being able to violate your rights. And they do it, right? They do violate your rights. But they think that they have the sanctioned right to do so, but they don't. But they use these events to push for shit like that, which end up restricting your rights. Bit by bit, they will take it away. And because of 9/11, the devastation there, and because of the anthrax scare, we gave very little resistance. We asked them, Fifth Amendment. Jay, with open eyes, Fifth Amendment. We gave them the carte blanche. We said, hey, all right, go ahead. We want y'all to do something. We're afraid. We want to stand up as a country. We want to, fight against terrorism the best way we can, right? So they came up with the Patriot Act. They came up with the Mild State Health Emergency Powers Act because of the anthrax scare. And so, what are they wanting next? Well, they already have 20,000 or so laws on the books for this, but the right to keep and bear arms. That is the ultimate right that they want to take away. That is the ultimate right that they are seeking to remove from the people. And I think, like, they tried that with the Vegas thing. They tried that with, it just so many different things that happen where, you can't let a good tragedy go to waste. So they take a tragedy and they push for gun control. Well, they're understanding that these little fires here and there are not going to cut it, right? Because they need us to get behind taking our own rights away on a large scale, right? They need it. They need you Republican voters to get on board, right? Because they need the illusion that, and they also, there's not even illusion. They do need us, right, to willingly give up our right to keep and bear arms. Like we willingly gave up our right to privacy, we gave up our right to free speech, and we gave up our rights to due process. Okay, so we willingly gave that up. Willingly. Because some people did some shit that we would never do, but for the better of our safety and for the better of our health, we're going to allow them to treat us as if we would do something like that preemptively. You understand? All this is about preemptively removing your ability to do anything that you want to do that they feel is detrimental to their tyranny. All right? So, this guy, he got stopped. But let me tell y'all something. They want the guns next. They are itching for them. They have been trying to get the guns for decades. They've been trying it since before 9/11. They've been trying it before that, right? I think in the 80s or in the 1990s, they tried to pass an assault weapons. Well, they actually did pass an assault weapons bill. Matter of fact, they did. But it had a sunset, right? It had a sunset. So that was not enough. And just an assault weapons bill, that's not going to be enough. No. They want the whole kit and caboodle, the whole shooting match. But something devastating enough has to happen for us to say, oh yeah, we got to give it up. Oh yeah, this is too much. This is way too much. We need to give up our rights to keep and bear arms, to keep us safe. We need the government to keep us safe. So we're going to give the government we're going to willingly give away our rights to keep and bear arms. We're going to do it. And it has to be devastating enough for, both sides of the aisle to kind of be like, okay, this is something we need to do. It has to be that devastating. It has to be that devastating. And it has to be convincing that, oh, well, if we didn't have these rights to keep and bear arms, this would not have been able to happen. If we didn't have 350 million firearms in the country, they would not have been able to carry this out. It has to be something of that nature. It has to be something of that scale. Otherwise, they know if they try to pull that shit, many people aren't going to go for it. So it has to strike enough fear. It has to be so much fear, right? It has to invoke a level of fear you have never seen in this country, right? It has to be worse than 9/11. It has to be worse than Pearl Harbor, right? And it's going to involve some of the people that came over here. And that's what I think. That's just what it is. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I can't see it not happening, and it might never happen. It might never happen. But I'm always going to be on the lookout for some shit like that. I'm always, especially after these last 3.5 years where they are ramping up their agenda. The agenda is being ramped up. Make no mistake about it. The agenda is being ramped up, and they are going to pull something. They're going to pull some bullshit. Real shit, y'all. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it. But, yeah. I'm just saying, man, I don't see it going any other way. I don't. But, you know, hopefully I'm wrong. And, you know, it's just the normal shit. But something has to happen. Something has to be done about these immigrants. Something has to be done about the Venezuelans. Something has to be done about that. Something has to be done about the violent people that are coming over here, you know, over the border, getting free vouchers. Something has to be. Hey, y'all, put a 1 in the chat if I'm back, y'all, because they really fuck with my they messing with my stream right now. So let me know if y'all can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Put a 1. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you. So, I mean, listen. We have to do something. The people, it's time that we do something for ourselves and prevent this from happening and stop what's already happening. We have to put an end to it. We have to put an end to it. You know what I'm saying? You know, for those people that live in Aurora, Colorado, or anywhere in Colorado, it's up to y'all. Yeah, as soon as I get deep, yep, it starts tripping. It's up to y'all in Colorado. You have to take matters into your own hands. If this is really happening in your state and in your city, you have to do something. Sunshine asks, legally. Oh, there's that term, legally. Not very fond of that term. Well, who owns the soil? I don't like to think of it as owned. I like to think of it as who staked the soil, right? If you go somewhere and you go to some land and it's unoccupied, right? It's unoccupied. And you see that it has the resources. It got water, you know, you can go fishing, you can go hunting, you can build a shelter. And there's no one around, no one's bothering it, no one's doing anything. You do a little patrol, you do a little walk, reconnoiter, make sure that, you know, there's no structure within a certain distance. And you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to set up here. I'm going to build me a shelter, you know, and I'm going to set my life here. I'm going to, you know, lay roots here, and I'm going to fish, hunt, and live my life. At that point, well, you are occupying a section of land that you have staked out. You were there first, or you were there second, third, fourth, fifth, after others have moved on. That's what you have staked out for yourself, a piece of land that you're going to utilize for you or your family. Now, as far as ownership, I don't necessarily believe in that. I don't believe in owning land necessarily. But because of the way the economy set up, because of the way the system set up, it's what you have to do now. Right? Because a lot of the unoccupied land, right, which the United States is 95% unoccupied land. 95%. 95% unoccupied land, and the federal government owns a lot of it, the state governments, right? You know, they have the state parks, they got the federal parks, all that type of shit. And they say they own it. They feel like they have the rights to it, and they don't, because as a matter of fact, if it is federally owned land and state owned land, that is your land, because They're using your money to maintain it, to secure it, whatever they want to do with the land. So it's really yours, right? It's really your land. The state park, city parks, federal parks, all that type of shit, it belongs to us, right? Because they take our money to pay for it. And they say they own it, so they have to secure it. They got to protect it. So they're using our money to do these things. But as far as who has what land belongs to whom, in my mind, it's just about, hey, was I here first? Did I build this shelter? Yeah, I mean, you can't just, I put the work in to manage the land. I put the work in to work the land. I put the work in for the land. I built shit, I dug well, I did this, I did that, I established something here, I secured it. Yeah, you have the rights to that land. You have the right to utilize that land that you put the work in to maintain and to build. So that's really how it should be. So that's how it should be. That's how I feel about land ownership, y'all. But like I said, the way everything's set up right now, unfortunately, you have to buy the land with money, and then you got to pay taxes. So you buy the land, whether you buy it outright or you get a loan or whatever. You buy the land, it's yours. But you have to give property tax to the state for your land. Make that make sense. Make it make sense. Oh, well, you got to tie into the electrical grid and the sewer system. Well, we have to pay for that, right? Don't we pay for sewage usage? Don't we pay for water? Don't we pay for electricity? So we're already paying for that. So what's the property tax for? Oh, the school, blah, blah, blah. Well, you already taxed my income. You tax everything that I buy. So what are we doing here, right? But it's all a racket. It's all a racket. All a racket. Yeah, we'd be a criminal if we bought it. Exactly. But it's sanctioned criminality. The United States government is the epitome of a criminal organization where the victims consent to be victims. Think about that. The United States government is a system, is a criminal organization where its victims consent to be victims, and when they have children, they sign their children over as victims to this criminal organization. The United States government is a racket. It's a racket. Do me a favor, y'all. Hit that like button, please. Hit the like button. But yeah, it's a racket, y'all. Like, think about it. Think about it. When you were born, did you have the ability to consent to be governed? Did you have the cognitive function? Did you have the wherewithal to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be governed. Hey, mama, hey, daddy, I don't want to be governed. Somebody texted somebody said the Democrat Party did that. Well, we sign our children over into servitude, and we force them to give consent. So, and they can't give consent. But guess what? By the time they turn of age, by the time they become adults, they have been conditioned. They have been conditioned. And I understand, right? I understand the dilemma, because if you're not self-sufficient enough, and you're not independent enough, you should not have your children. They have to be able to function in this society as it is today. Unless, like I said, you're completely, off the grid, you're completely self-sufficient. You don't need anybody outside of yourself and your people and your community for anything. Then you're eventually going to have to get paperwork on your children. So yes, you're forced into forcing your children to give consent. You're forced into forcing your children into being victims of this criminal organization we know as the United States government. And I don't know how to frame it any other way. This is what it is. So just understand that. Understand that if something happens, if something goes down, Jimmy Nguyen, what's good, man? It has been a long time. It's been a minute. Understand, if something goes down, they're going to look to you to give up an ass load of rights. Their answer, their solution is going to be, we have to pass this bill. This bill will keep us safe from here on out. It'll give the U.S. government the ability to keep you secure and safe. And it might be in the form of extensive gun control. Extensive, very extensive. And it also might be in the realm of the TAPS Act. I don't know if you guys remember the TAPS Act. The TAPS Act from so long ago that was introduced years ago in Texas by Texas congressman. I think Dan Crenshaw endorsed it, right? Dan Crenshaw, your favorite one-eyed man. Y'all remember the TAPS Act? The Threat Assessment Prevention something. I forgot exactly what the acronym stood for. The TAPS Act. Yeah. That might resurface. That might rear its ugly head. Because let me tell y'all something. The TAPS Act was a pre-crime bill. So it's a threat assessment preventive something. It was a pre-crime bill. Basically, it was the Minority Report, right? Where basically they would be able, right, to consider you a threat if you say certain things on social media, if you say certain words, if you display behavior they feel is threatening without you actually committing a crime, they can actually take you and have you observed for a certain period of time, have you go through a psychological evaluation, have you disarmed, and can do all that without due process, without you having even been charged with a crime. Because you committed no crime yet, but you said something that they didn't like. That's the TAPS Act. That's the TAPS Act. Something they might bring back if something does happen. And they're all going to have some type of overlap, and they're going to expect you to accept it if that shit gets passed, right? They're going to have their Republican senators and Congress people appeal to your emotion. They're going to have them appeal to false ethics, right? Appeal to false ethics. And they're going to leave logos. They're going to leave logic out the window. Logic is not going to enter into it. They're going to say, we need to do this to keep us safe. HR 835, I believe that's it, Sunshine. HR 835. They are going to parade a bunch of shit in front of y'all, and they're going to say, hey, this is the only way I know to keep y'all safe. right? And so they're gonna do it, yeah. And they're gonna have assault weapons bills. They're gonna have the background check, right? They're gonna want to do that. They're gonna want to have a registry. They're going to want to ban semi-automatic weapons, and that's going to be part of the assault weapons bill. If it's any semi-automatic weapon, they're going to want to greatly restrict that, if not outright ban it. And they're going to want us to be okay with it. Yeah, they're going to expect it. They're going to expect it to say, "Oh man, we can't let this happen again. We have to give the government every capability to prevent this." And they're going to want you to give it up. But we have to be steadfast. We have to be strong. And we cannot allow this to happen, y'all. We cannot allow them to do it to us. And so, in my mind, this whole thing where they stop the terrorists, the would-be terrorists from coming into the United States to blast up New York on 9/11 in support of ISIS. It's them showing you, look at what we can do. We are government. We stopped the terrorist attack. All right? They're planting seeds, y'all. They're planting seeds. Anyway, I'm going to get off of here. Thank y'all for coming through. Please hit that like button on the way out. And yeah, much love. Like, share, subscribe. And we are going to keep marching forward toward freedom.